Hello everyone, welcome to World Writing in the Time of Corona, a poetry workshop where you can write a poem every other day if you feel so inclined. So I'm just going to take you through how we do this, and it's quite straightforward. I'm going to give you 6 prompts and you write something down in response to each prompt, and then from that you try and make a poem. So you need a pen and some paper, or a computer and laptop. And here's a list I'm going to give you. So if you want to write this down. So the first is a pattern. The second is a memory of a loved one. So just a memory. Third one is a taste. The fourth one is a walk or walking somewhere. The fifth is an item of clothing. And the sixth is has to be a question. So one line of your poem has to be a question. Okay, I'll just go through those again. So a pattern, a memory of a loved one, a taste, a walk, an item of clothing, and a question. So jot down something that fits into each of those kind of categories, and then give yourself a little bit of time to think about how you can connect what you'd like to write about. Remember, you have to get a question into it. Think about whether you want to make it a story, whether you want to make it purely descriptive, and there's quite a lot of potential in today's to make it descriptive because you have a pattern, you have a memory, you have a walk, you have things you can actually describe. So whether it's a story, whether it's a description, think about the point of view as well. Think about whether you want to make it personal, so from the first person, or whether you want to distance yourself from it and write it third person, whether you want to completely make it all up, which is absolutely fine. So try and write at least 4 lines, and remember, one of the lines has to be a question. That's the only kind of restriction on today's. So if you have got your pen and your paper, I reckon probably, I don't know, somewhere around 15 minutes possibly to actually write this. You might need longer, and obviously you take as long as you want, but I'm going to suggest that you pause the video and have a go at writing it, and then we'll do the collaborative element of this, which at least is where I share, and hopefully you might feel inclined to share as well. So if you've got your pen and your paper, start. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed writing your poem of today. As a little tip, which I've given before, but I'll give again because I think it is very helpful, sometimes to help with editing, because it's very rare, of course, that one writes anything perfectly the first time. I'll just show you how much mine has been edited. So quite often it's helpful to record yourself reading it back, because I think hearing it aloud is a really good way of satisfying yourself that you have the rhythm, that you have exactly the right words, or maybe the right word order. So I always listen back at least once to what I've written, to hear if it falls on the ear in the right kind of way. As I say, that does help with editing too. So that's one thing I wanted to say, and I'll just tell you my list of things. So the pattern was actually a dress pattern, and the memory of a loved one was my mum sewing. The taste was the taste of puffed wheat, which, if I remember, has very little taste at all. The walk was along the seafront when I was a child. The item of clothing was a blue dress. Now, I kept with this sewing idea, so this was a dress that my mother had made and worn. And I wasn't sure what the question was going to be when I began to write it. So all of my poem shaped itself around, it shaped itself around a memory. But I tried, as I sometimes do, and again, this is a useful tip, sometimes in terms of the actual thing you want to write about, sometimes it's quite useful to have a line at the beginning and maybe a line at the end, or 2 lines at the beginning and 2 lines at the end, which tap into bigger issues, which look at bigger things. And then you can write the actual thing in the middle. So it's just a nice kind of way of framing. Just a tip for you. Okay, so I haven't yet decided the title of this poem. It might very well be the first line, or the poem goes unnamed, but here's my attempt to combine those. And I think I managed to get all of them in. Okay, so here goes. It always felt like making something out of nothing. A magic trick, perhaps, those childhood days, a ruse. With her fine-boned face and wavy hair, my mother pinned out patterns. Her girls would know how to sew. Cut and tack, finish the back, join the seams. We were making dreams, although we never knew. Tummies full of puffed wheat, sloshing in milk. We'd play in yellow sand all the livelong day, clothes discarded. Only our mum remained elegant and wistful, looking beyond her curly-haired brood to the sea. She always lived on the margins. On Sundays, we'd walk the bounds of our seaside town, sometimes with little Gommy in her 90s, festooned in black and neat as a concertina on the bench. In our cotton dresses Mum had made, we flitted along the front, and she, behind us all, striding like a model in her blue linen dress, while before her generations moved like breakers in the sun. Did her magic come from nearly dying as a child? Her gift was making something out of nothing, a seam, a dream, a dress. So, that's the poem I made, and I quite like some bits of it. There's some parts of it that I like very much. Some of the images that if I spent longer at this, I would work on quite a lot. But this is just done to show you really how, given some ideas and a focusing of the mind, you can actually produce something quite creative. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I very much look forward to reading what you've written, or to just knowing that you've enjoyed listening. So you take care, and I shall see you in a couple of days when it will be the 7th day, and we will indeed be doing something very different. Until then, you take care. Goodbye for now.